Welcome to the Unfiltered Path podcast, where we explore life's journey without the constraints of filters. In a world saturated with highlight reels, we dive deep into the true essence of individual experiences, offering listeners an uncensored glimpse into the triumphs, struggles, and transformative moments that define us. Our mission is to provide hope, inspire resilience, and remind you that every path, no matter how windy or rocky, can lead to growth and enlightenment. Join us as we navigate the uncharted territories of truth and to be moved, be inspired, and discover that you're not alone on this unfiltered journey of life. Hello, everybody. My name is Graham Duval. I'm the owner of Valued Productions, but I am also a co-host here on the Unfiltered Path podcast. My business helps turn strangers into clients using video content. I'm joined today with my co-host.
Good morning, everyone. Trinity Baker, mindset coach and motivational speaker, founder of the Mindset Movement, where I provide inspiration, motivation, and tips and tricks to learn how to harness the power of your mindset. I'm one of your co-hosts here on the podcast, joined with Miss Danielle.
Hello, everyone. My name is Danielle. I'm the owner of Aerial Jade. Essentially, I'm an aerialist, so essentially I fly suspended in the air. I'm referred to as the bird of the surf. I'm also an educator, so I travel throughout Maine and teach other people how to do it too. And we are here with our wonderful guest today.
Yes, hello everyone. My name is Megan Fahey. So I work for my family's sign company based out of Leamington, Maine. So we do custom fab signs and we specialize in doing vehicle advertising as well. So lots of fleet work and then a bunch of other small things in between.
Helping business stand out. I'm here for it. Your work is amazing.
Yeah, it's in my budget. I don't know, but I'm sure I can speak for all of us.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah, most definitely. I mean, as soon as my car craps out, eventually, it's at like 218,000 miles right now. But once it is time for a new car, we will definitely be talking. I'm getting full on shebang.
Yeah. I actually just had a moment yesterday where I thought of your line of work, even took a picture. So there's food trucks at the events that I do. I have a rig and children can come up and try aerial arts, and then myself or students perform. So anyway, so there's all these other beautiful, wonderful vendors, and they're really smart with their advertisement. And honestly, it's kind of not the sector I've put a lot of time in yet. And I love someone had like a magnetic sign, so you could see that they just put it wherever on their food truck that it needed to be. And it was all of their social media links and a QR code. And I'm like, no many people video their kids on my rig and I don't have them tag me. Like I can barely even get a business card out because the minute I'm mounting these kids up, you know? And so I'm like, gosh, I wish I had something that stuck to my rig, like a magnet that had all that information on it. And here you are.
Or if you had a sign that like stood next to the rig that like they could get off and stand next to and like take a picture with your rig there, and like it had your business name and like your social media and stuff.
Yeah.
Something. Megan, you help businesses grow. Tell us a little bit. I would love to know some success stories, like some of those clients that you've had that are like, Megan, Sebago Sign Works. Look what you did for my business. Like, I love hearing those stories that like confirm the work that you are doing. What are some of those stories?
Yeah, so I guess I don't have any specific one that comes to mind. We help businesses all the time with effective vehicle advertising. I use this example all the time. So like say our company was called Fahey Sign Works. A lot of people have their last name and then whatever their business is. A lot of people will have Fahey in big letters and then Sign Works super small because they're very proud of the business that they've made. And I could totally relate to that. However, how effective is that really? No one actually cares about your last name. They just care about the services that you offer. So it's not just putting fun and pretty designs on a vehicle or a sign. There's actually some logic that goes into it. And actually, so if it's done properly, you can gain 30 to 60,000 impressions per mile.
Wild.
Wow.
It's crazy. So if it's done right, it can be crazy effective.
I love hearing the numbers. That's what's
Yeah.
up. I didn't know that.
I believe that. There's so many vehicles that you see. There's like a handful right here in the town of Rangeley that I'm like, I don't even know what business you have because your letters are so small. I can't even read one of the letters.
Right.
I have no idea
Right.
not a clue.
And like, for example, so in B&I actually, I was trying to connect. I'm not going to say the name of the business, but I was trying to connect with a specific business in the area. I would just drive by and be like, man, I would love to work with them. I was saying their business name wrong for probably a couple years because of the font. I looked it up online, spelt it the way that I thought it was spelled, and it was not at all correct because of the font. It was poorly designed, so I thought the business was called something completely different. So yeah, it's design work. Totally, I'm not to say it's a science, but it's totally, you have to put some logic into it and really think about how to make it effective. Simple, keep it very simple. It'll go such a long way.
I love that. So I'm curious, how did you get into doing what you do? Like, how did you get into just doing signs? I know before you get into it, the reason I ask is I know you have kind of a cool story with your family and everything, and I think our listeners would definitely appreciate that.
Yeah, so it's kind of a funny story as to how it happened. So Sebago Signworks opened before I was even born. So I grew up in the industry. But how it came about was my dad and his parents actually worked on the carnival during his childhood. So he grew up all along the East Coast. And so when he was coming to work for the Freiburg Fair, my mom has lived in Bloomington her whole life. So she was at the Freiburg Fair, saw my dad working. Apparently she has a thing for carnies. It was love at first sight, and the rest is history. And they were young. They were kids. They were probably like 14 or 15 years old. So they grew up together. But my dad ended up moving up here. A few years later, my grandparents followed him up here. Grandparents love them, have tried multiple times to have a business, and it just didn't really always seem to work out for them. So they tried opening what was called Signs and Seconds in Raymond. I just don't think it was a great fit for them. So probably not even a couple years later, they ended up handing the business down to my dad. My dad was at a point in his life where he really wanted to get married and settle down, just really have something established. So my dad took it, ran with it, and then was born Sebago Signworks. So that was probably 9 to 10 years before I was even born. So I have so many memories of going to work with my dad. In Raymond at the time. He had a little playroom set up for me. I used to play with the machines, all of that type of fun stuff, play with the vinyl. And yeah, it was always talked about me working or eventually taking over the family business. But I think a lot of people in my position, I was very stubborn. I didn't just want to follow in my father's footsteps because that's what he wanted. So when I was 16, I started working for a local RV sales and service dealership. I was in high school during COVID. COVID completely changed my life. If it weren't for COVID, I'd probably be a lawyer or doing something really boring like that. So I was working full time during COVID. COVID checked me out of school, had no interest in going, so I was making really good money at the time. Then when it came time to graduate, corporate company purchased a small family business, opened a lot of doors for me. So it's like, man, I really have something going good for me. And I was pretty excited because I didn't have to put myself in debt for it. And then a couple years went by. Dad started getting older, started seeing him get a little burnt out. I was getting a little tired of being at my first job. I kind of needed something new, but I was still like, man, I don't know if I could commit to this, the family business. So he started working with a business coach, and he was like, I think you just have to hear this guy out and hear what he has to say. So he gave us this business model, EMT, entrepreneur, manager, technician. My father's a great entrepreneur. He's built a very successful business for himself and my family, and he's a great technician. Could do anything from start to finish when it comes to signage. Management, completely different story. And at my last job, I had experience in management from a corporate company. So there's a lot of skills that I could bring over here. So that was kind of what sold me on it. I was like, yeah, I could implement and hopefully help grow the business. So I came on as the M, the manager. Part of the E was for my dad was working on the business, not in the business, which is where B&I came into play. Being in the same industry, my dad has known the Manx for quite some time. So Kelly invited him to Lakes Region B&I before it had launched. And I guess after his first meeting, mind you, his first meeting was my first week working here. So he went to his first meeting. Guess it didn't go well. Kelly asked who else may be interested in joining. He was like, oh, my daughter, she would love to come. And then so I went my second week working there, went to B&I, had no idea what it was, had never gone to any sort of networking event just because I had never been in a position to grow a business. Business was just handed to me at my last job. But yeah, if I'm being completely honest, if it weren't for B&I, I don't think I would have stuck with the family business. There's just something about being surrounded by like-minded individuals. It helps you grow professionally and personally. I am definitely not the same person I was a year and a half ago before joining. So totally credit B&I to what I've actually been able to do with the family business.
I love that. I love EMT.
Yeah.
Like you think, like call the ambulance, EMT. No, 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 no. I am, what is it? Entrepreneur,
manager, technician.
I love that. I love that.
It's just something so simple.
Yeah.
You know, like what hat am I wearing? Is it what task does this go? I'm gonna actually probably think of that now.
Yeah.
That's quite helpful.
Well, it helps with delegation, and delegating is such an important role. You can't do everything by yourself. That's why
we get so many things. We don't organize them.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah. And then that's when you get overwhelmed and stressed out and burnt out, like your dad was getting. Like there was no visual structure of what he was doing. And I think a lot of times as business owners, like we feel like we have to do that all. And it's not always hiring like a person to take over one of those tasks. Sometimes it's hiring a company or an assistant to do some of those things just a little bit. Graham, you can continue this. Like one of the first things I do as a coach with entrepreneurs is say, all right, what are you doing that doesn't feel good, and how can we get rid of it? Right? Because there's a lot of things that we do working in the business versus on the business. Like, I love that you're able to support your dad in harnessing where he needs to be in the business, which is a game changer quality of life in being a business owner when we can be where we need to be, when we can do what we're meant to be doing here.
And sometimes it's just making that structure. You know what I mean? Like if you're just doing stuff and like it's whatever, it's like, well, let's put it into this EMT structure or whatever structure that fits your business. You know what I mean? And then you know where the pieces, and then it's more efficient of what you're doing. You know what I mean?
More going to reach out and save somebody else's life, and it's going to change another family. And it's, you know, we talk about affecting a first responder, military personnel, or a veteran, one person at a time, and eventually that affects the family, and eventually that affects the community. So that's our hopes.
Yeah, it's the ripple. It's a ripple. The work that you do is powerful. I just want to commend all that you do. Bill, we met a while ago. I don't know, a year ago, 2 years ago.
Yeah, about a year and a half ago.
Have literally been changing lives since. Like it's just been amazing. Every connection I make for you, you're on top of it, and it's just so freaking cool to see you taking every opportunity to make a ripple. Like you grab every single stone. Now, in order to do that, and in order to stay up late and supporting people, it can be draining on you. So we are talking about how, because all of us here make an impact like that in our own ways, how it's so important to have the supports that we need, because we are the supports for a lot of people. But how, like making sure that we're tapping into and have a good routine of keeping those supports in our back pocket and using them in routine with them. People, practices, whatever it might be, whether it's going to church or journaling or a mentor group or a mentor themselves. Tell us a little bit about how you make sure that you continue to tap into those so that you can then serve in the way that you're serving.
Yeah, that's a seriously important piece. Almost 9 years ago, I personally got sober, and I've learned how important it is to build that relationship with other people that are in the system, or even people that maybe haven't gone through recovery, but have what you need when you know you need a place to go, somebody to dump whatever you're going through on, because like you said, you can't maintain. There's no way I could potentially, or anybody that I've met that does this kind of work, maintain life on a upscale basis, taking all of this on and then never having an outlet as well. That's a big piece of the like PTG training we do. The post-traumatic growth training is a matter of learning how to accept what's happened in the past, how to take ownership of what is yours, and how to let go of everything else that isn't yours. You know what I mean? So having those avenues that I've built over the years of my own personal recovery, from my own sponsor to the men's group that I'm a part of in my church, to gentlemen like Steve Barton, who is a life coach, who is in my BNI group, having a chance to, I don't even have to be a part of his coaching. I just have to pick up the phone like, hey, Steve, like I just need somebody to talk to. People like that are in my life they are my personal lifeline. You know what I mean? Because even if I don't dump all of it on one person, I can let pieces of it go to each person that I talk to. And each time I do that, it's the same healing that we offer those who come to us. You know what I mean? Like, we're not saying we're the end all be all. Again, we've partnered together with multiple entities in this area, and I have no qualms there. My ego is not in the way when I say I can't do it, but I know who can, sending somebody some other place. But having the ability to connect with those practitioners, those entities, to be able to push people in that direction is what I do for myself, as well as what I do for those who come to us.
Yeah, that I resonate with that so much. And first off, I love Steve. And they say that the opposite of addiction is community, not like recovery.
Yes.
And
Yes.
addiction can be so much like it's not just like drugs and alcohol. Like it's things that get you outside of yourself, like some sort of escape. So if someone's listening right now and they're like, "Oh, that doesn't resonate with me," well, take a look, and like it could be something else that you're doing that is like geared to kind of make you escape what you're doing. And so like the opposite of that is community, and that's how it all works, is one person helping another person, and that allows that alleviation of that almost that ego death that happens when you put two people together working on something. And I completely resonate with that.
Yeah, it's very like you're talking about, like social media is a huge one for people these days. You know what I mean? It can be an asset or it can be your downfall. There's a lot of
Hmm.
people that find a place of isolation, and they can hide behind a screen and pretend that things are going well, and they lie to even themselves that things are okay until they actually have to hear the words coming out of their own mouth. You know what I mean? Or
Hmm.
they have to actually look in the mirror and accept that what they're telling other people is not real. They're not making actions. A dream is just a dream until you put action behind it. You know what I
Right.
mean? Words are just words until you actually do the thing that you're talking about. Like, there's a lot of people that get stuck in, shopping, food,
Hmm.
exercise can be an
Yeah.
addiction to
Work,
a
even
detriment. Yeah,
work,
there's a lot of things that people can do, and they don't realize at times when they're in the throes of it that they're affecting other people around them, whether it be kids or a spouse or immediate family members or just friends, whatever it happens to be. It could be
Hmm.
your coworkers. A lot of people are blind to what's actually going on right in front of them because they can't pull themselves out of that moment. And you're right,
Exactly.
addiction can be many, many other things. And
Mm-hmm.
uh, when you put yourself into a place where you're isolated, I control this. I've got this. I can do this. When you're doing the
Mm-hmm.
I thing, there's some pretty big warning signs that a lot of people
Yep.
don't want to pay attention to.
Hey, you can't heal yourself with the same mind that got you into the situation in the first place, you
Amen to
know?
that. Amen to that. That's sort of the message that I've been spreading this week. I've been going live and just sharing the message of that surrender and not feeling like we need to control everything because it literally delays the results that we are destined for, right? Like, and then we
Yeah.
have to keep learning lessons and we learn them over and over. But I love what you said, Bill, right now and prior to recording the podcast is like, we need more of us to show what that looks like.
Mm.
Like, I need to be vulnerable enough to say, yes, I had it, but I'm calling bullshit on it and it wasn't meant for me. And this is what that looked like. And I'm letting that go and surrender. This is what the messy surrender looks like.
Hmm.
People need to see that, just like the sponsored meetings show us, right? Shows us what real recovery looks like. It's not always I'm sober and I'm staying here. Sometimes it's I relapse. Sometimes it's, right, X, Y, and Z. And when we
Hmm.
see those messages of real people showing their authenticity and vulnerability, that gives us hope to actually like take the first step. A lot of people won't even take the first step because they think it's got to be perfect.
Totally.
Well, and a
It's
lot of
it's
people want to take those big steps, right? Instead of
Yeah,
taking the small step and
yeah,
knowing that with each one of those small steps, you're making forward progress, but not to forget, like you said, there are those moments where you're going to stumble and you're going to take those steps backwards, but
yeah.
that doesn't mean you have to stop moving forward. That's
right.
that's the time where you really double down and dig in.
It
Yeah,
it
those
Go ahead.
steps those steps back are often so full of lessons and they build your character and your resilience. Like even those step backs are really like purposeful.
Yep.
They're not by accident. They shouldn't be like, "Oh my gosh, why am I here?" It's embracing those valleys and that messiness.
It's so true that like and that's one thing that I personally forget sometimes is that people do want to hear that like that story or that thing that's, that hope that you talk about. Like I was in a mastermind, a community the other day and I'm like doing some evolution in my business and stuff and like I was just briefly said I was like, "Oh yeah, no, I found my path through the 12 steps and stuff like that." And someone was like, you need to make like a story post and like write that whole thing out if for the only reason that someone may see it and be like, hey, this is possible. And because we were talking business at the time and like it was partially but for that, but the main thing he was like, if anything, just to show that like, hey, you've come from there and you've made it to this point and that it is possible and like that could be just the one thing that sparks someone to make that step and realize that like, oh, okay, any small step forward, it even those steps back is still steps forward, you know what I mean?
Any
Yeah.
steps, sideways, backwards, upside down, it doesn't matter as long as you're
Hmm.
taking the steps and embodying the energy of that trust, that
Ex-
faith, that
exactly.
I'm here to learn whatever right now is here to show me. Like, it's not always gonna feel beautiful. And I think
Mm.
that that's a huge, like, when you realize it's not always supposed to feel beautiful, you'll stop beating yourself up when it doesn't feel beautiful.
Yeah, the pain is,
I
you're
think
right, the
most
pain is
people live
growth.
their lives not feeling that way, so they don't even
Mm.
know when life is beautiful. So I actually think it's kind of like the reverse. But
Mm.
Graham, you use this platform all the time to share about your sobriety, so you should share more clips about it because I agree. And even me, I had a knee surgery, and for someone that had a numbing addiction in my early 20s to not only face not being able to do my art form for close to 6 months, I almost cry saying it.
Mm.
But I wasn't affected by pain pills. Like
Mm.
I took my 3 days worth and I was good. I even ran a full rehearsal, still had a full production, and
Yeah,
like
that's
really kind of like faced the demon the first time, like
Yeah.
head on. That was in my early 20s. I'm 40 now, so I do have to say it's been a very long time for me living a different lifestyle. But when I got injured, which led me to have my son, I did not do well that time. with an
Mhm.
injury. It was full like self-pity, depression, numbed it with partying, came home for a visit because I was just like a mess and found a somewhat job that was appealing. So I was like, and my mom and her husband looked a little old to me, and I was like, well, maybe I'll stay. And
Hmm.
I conceived John within a year. Like I was designed to be here. That injury led me to my son. And I joke because the car accident that happened, I was a passenger in it and we were T-boned and it pops out. It didn't like heal like correctly, completely. And I say it's my jaw. Um, but yeah, so this was like the first time I really had to face a severe trigger in so many different ways and it not affect me. Maybe not completely, but I took a vacation this week because I needed it. Like my kids had fun for
That's,
2 days, and I
I
was like, I
love
looked
that.
at them, I said, now this is for me. Like as soon as we had this podcast, I have another day and a half left. And
Mhm.
like I was like, no, because I'm like proud of myself, but I also know that I probably stuffed some things somewhere else in my life that I should maybe like sit and quiet and make sure I address, you know? But yeah, that was like the first time for me to kind of face that demon face on and just be totally fine.
I think that's amazing. And like the vacation, I totally get. Like, I feel like that is also like a reset because I did the same thing recently where it's like last Thursday, from Thursday afternoon to Sunday, I completely disconnected from business. I didn't do anything. And I feel like coming in on Monday was like a whole new like perspective. And I think more people need to do that.
A lot of people won't do that because
No, I didn't. I was
yeah.
just
Yeah.
worked 5 years straight on this business. I don't think I've ever paused. In fact, I really think Trinity, you inspired it. I was like, wait a second. I am all the time on for other people, Like I even donated the Boys and Girls Club and like to even tell them I'm taking a vacation. Like it was so many
Hmm.
things I had to say and do. And like I had other people perform last night. I mean, I went, but you inspired that because I was like, oh my God, I have not paused.
I
Honestly, here's how I look at that is just as important as everything that we've been talking about when we talk with Bill about that foundation of who we tap into when we're in our lows. Like that is the routine of being able to reset. Like
hmm
literally all this week. So this week has been a little bit different. It's the first week that I am home, not traveling, and I don't have my son. So I've had to like navigate this new flow. And so I've been working like 8 to 1, and then I go and I reset. I hike, I kayak, I go do something, and then I come back and I'm like a whole new person. That should be in our everyday
Mm.
flow. Like I agree, yes,
yeah.
3, 4 days is way like transformative, very resetting, very refreshing, but it should be in your everyday routine.
Well,
Totally.
I
It
usually
gives
use
you
exercise, but I haven't had that. So I've had to
mm,
really like lean into other things like delegating responsibilities. It forced me to be a bigger leader, a larger leader in
hmm
myself. It's made me look at other ways of resetting. And I think, Graham, you've reflected that work has been like you'll do anything to do
hmm
work. So for
Mhm.
you to take 4 days and be like, I'm not doing work, that
Yeah.
for
Exactly.
you is huge. Me
Huge.
paying money to go on a vacation
That's huge.
two
Huge.
children that I'm financial, so it's not just me. It's like I'm paying for, that it was like all of it, and then not like show up to like little
Ex-
humans that want to fly in the air. Like
Exactly.
I was really hard to be like,
I
no, for a
think
whole week I'm not almost doing it. Like I didn't completely stop working, but close.
right. I think it's important in the sense that gives you this, if you're always filling your cup with stuff, it doesn't give you the opportunity to receive. So like you have to have something that like empties it. And this goes directly back to what we were just talking with you, Bill, is that having that thing, that outlet, like you said, to then be able to receive any of the like the blessings and the life that is meant for you. Because if you're just constantly putting in, yet there's no
Mm,
opportunity for like you to have those things come to you.
that's
Yeah, it's
true. That
funny
was a
that
different
brings
analogy.
back a brings back a story that I, when I was a kid, my grandmother used to read to me. It was about the bucket. And if your bucket has holes in it, it can't be filled back up. So like
Mm.
if your bucket's got holes in it and you're constantly pouring out, like if you take something in that's supposed to help heal you, but you're constantly pushing out, pushing out, pushing out, at some point
Mm.
you're going to find that those holes in that bucket are going to leave your bucket completely empty.
Hmm.
And if you've got no place to draw from, because you've completely drained yourself, you're not really going to be that beneficial to those people that you're trying to help.
Right.
What you're handing them is going to be a partial product of what you really should or could be doing. So,
I think
um,
True.
the more that you are serving, the more that you're making an impact, the more emotional energy that your work takes, the more of those things you need, right? Like how
yeah,
much you are putting out, you need to be able to take back in. Uh, and so like I was just talking to a client this morning who has been building business like super quick, huge ripple, huge impact in what she does. But she's like, man, this week I am feeling like so super drained. I'm like, what's your routine look like? Stopped journaling, stopped waking up early and working out. I'm like that we
Mm.
stop those things when we're busy because we think
mm,
it's saving us time when it's literally that's how we draw in. That's how we
it's
Oh,
taking our
connect.
production away from us.
It
Yeah.
dude.
does.
Yeah,
So I'm like,
that took
yeah.
me so long to figure out.
Yeah,
I'm
like,
so guilty of that.
I
So
know,
guilty
Sam.
of
I'm
Man,
literally
Of
talking to you.
decades.
I'm
I
talking
don't
to you.
know
Wink,
anybody.
wink.
I don't know anybody in
Ah,
this world that does this work that can say 100% of the time I got my stuff nailed down.
Yeah,
yeah,
I don't,
no.
you know
no
what I
way.
mean? Like
Yeah.
I have a routine. I personally get up early every morning. First thing I do is before my feet even hit the floor, I thank the Lord for bringing me another blessed
Mm.
Can
day.
you tell me more about like, okay, so you're traveling to all these places. What's that lifestyle like? Like, are you so food must be different all the time, but yet you're still eating convenient food because you're traveling? Like, what's the like the rough underground, like kind of scruffy things
Mm.
that happen with having such a lifestyle like that?
Yeah, that's a great
Like,
question
what is
too.
Yeah.
That I to kind of add a little caveat to that question too, because I'm here in a hotel right now,
mm,
and like there's a microwave and a small fridge. So
mm.
it's like, what do you do? You know what I mean?
Uh, I almost would never eat out of that microwave or put stuff in that small fridge. I ate out pretty much every single meal for a decade.
Mm.
In fact, when I stopped traveling, it was something that was very difficult to get over. I kept,
Mm.
eating out, which was not necessarily the healthiest thing in the world. Um, you're living out of a bag. So
Mm.
imagine taking whatever clothes you have, you're going to have a couple versions of it, and shoving that in a bag, and that's it for a very long time. Um,
That's a
it's
trigger
not as
point for
glamorous as
females.
people think. I'm not even necessarily staying in hotels most of the time. A lot of the time, I was in
Mm.
hostels or guest houses because it's cheaper, and
Mm.
I would rather pay $50 a night and stay somewhere for, several nights than pay $200 a night, and then that's just one night.
Right.
You're unconscious when you're in a hotel room, so you don't really know too much of a difference. And that's something that's kind of stuck with me to this day. I'll just stay at like a lower end motel or something rather than some high end place.
Mm.
Uh, if I had a choice, I've often said I would rather fly first class and stay in a hostel than fly economy than stay in a five-star hotel.
That makes
Noted.
sense.
Because flying
That
sucks.
makes sense.
Noted.
Flying is a very unpleasant experience, and the business
Mm.
model of most airlines today is to make it very uncomfortable for you, and then have you pay to relieve that pain. That's
Yes.
that's basically the business model.
Man, ain't that the
Um,
truth?
you're
Mm.
moving
Hmm.
around a lot. You don't have anyone, stable in your life. You meet lots of people,
Mm.
and they come and they go. Um, yeah, I mean, you're eating new food, but it's not. When you're on the road constantly, the wonder that you have when you're on vacation or you're visiting a place for your new time, it just kind of becomes second nature.
Mm.
One of the
Mm.
things I would do if I stayed for even a couple days is just find one place and I would eat there every day. I remember I was in Aqaba, Jordan, and I just found this place that had shawarma and French fries and hummus, and I would go there every day. And by day three, they kind of figured out what I was going to order every time. So you develop
Nice.
small things like that to sort of develop a routine.
Sense of normalcy.
Yeah.
How long did you stay in each place? And was it like intentional, like I'm gonna stay here for X amount of days, or you just kind of like go with the flow?
Totally depends. I moved a lot more than a lot of long-term travelers did,
Hmm.
but occasionally I would get kind of burned out. So I stayed in Saigon for like a month. I stayed in Melbourne for a month. I stayed in Girona, Spain for 3 months. Um,
Mm.
so I would do things like that, but then in some places I'd just stay 1 or 2 nights and then move on to the next thing.
Hmm.
Do you like people more or less?
Then,
Because if you're meeting a lot of people, like your perception of people and
oh,
peopling, do you enjoy it more because you're meeting all these different types of people, or are you just like, oh, people suck everywhere. This is crazy. Like, or is it the reverse? Like, people are wonderful. I love them so much.
no,
Like,
people don't suck. Um, Especially the longer I traveled, my story became more interesting to people. You
Mm.
know, oh, we're here on holiday from such and such. Oh, I've been doing this for 6 years. And they're like, really? Because most people have never met anyone like that. And so they're always very curious. You talk to travelers in place, and you're usually meeting people who are coming from the place you're going to. So they're usually the best source of information for wherever you want to visit because they know what's happening there at that moment. That tends to be better than a guidebook. Um, but yeah, I still have people that I'm, friends with, that I contact, connected with on like Facebook or something that I met 10 years ago.
Mm.
I have not seen them since, but we're still in touch.
I
That's
love that.
I like that too. I didn't know because,
that's
like,
cool.
you know what I mean? Like, because people can be projected, especially with media and just like culture in general, is kind of like a negative space. So I feel like traveling could either like confirm that or free you from that mindset. Does that make sense?
One
Or
of the
maybe that.
things that was unique about the period I was traveling is when I started, social media wasn't a thing. People weren't walking around with their phones because, like,
Mhm.
literally, Steve Jobs announced the iPhone a month before I started traveling, and it didn't go on
Okay.
sale until like June of that year. And then it wasn't a couple years later until a lot of the apps and a lot of the messaging and everything else became really embedded, and people walked around with the phone in front of their face. I remember going to Jerusalem the first time in 2009, and it was a radically different experience than the next time I visited several years later, because the second visit, everyone was walking around with a phone in front of their face.
Mhm.
Oftentimes, literally, just walking with a phone in front of their face, just having it on record the whole time, as if that's going to mean something.
Mhm.
So, yeah, it's changed things a bit. There was this rise in influencers where suddenly people just would take pictures of themselves in front of some place traveling, and they're trying to make life look very glamorous. I remember
Mm.
I was in Sri Lanka, and it was with this group of, we were invited there by this hotel chain, and there were these Chinese influencers that were there. And one day we were going to go hike this mountain, and this one woman is a Chinese influencer and had a very big following on Instagram, walked up the mountain in basically an evening gown.
Mhm.
And people don't do that. And
Mm.
so she's there with her photographer slash boyfriend. They get to the top of the mountain. They take a bunch of pictures, and it's such an unrealistic thing. Like no one in their right mind is going to climb a mountain wearing an evening gown like that. Like she's going to the Met Gala. So that was one of the weird things I kind of noticed
That
with
is
people
weird.
traveling.
Interesting.
Yeah.
And now we have streaming, so seeing people with a camera following them is
Yeah.
quite lucrative, believe it or not,
Mm.
and is like normalized. If for so, my kids refer to things like just in general chat. Like they're pretending to have a chat based off of the chat from a live stream, and that's normal to them. My kid spends more money digitally than they do. I have to drag them to Funtown yesterday. It's crazy how it's completely like upside down. But I'm hoping that traveling and things of that nature will help preserve myself and my kids' mindset around the quality of life, because it's been something I've been interested in, and I've been leaning on travel and adventures to kind of parent it. And so it's really rewarding meeting you and kind of ingraining that concept back into me, but that things will still be just like that somewhere else. So this has been enlightening.
I've met several families who traveled full time, and they basically schooled their kids on the road.
Yeah.
And traveling is a fantastic way to learn.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Totally.
Arguably one of the best there is. And you're going to get exposed to new things, and it becomes very difficult to be spending a lot of your time on a phone and on various apps when you're out there exploring the world.
Totally.
Yeah.
It takes a lot of intention. It takes like extreme intention.
Yeah.
Especially for the adult.
Well, I think the reason I think it takes so much intention is that, like, I mean, I honestly can't even imagine traveling without my phone, because like Google Translate and maps and all of those things. So hats off to you. I mean,
that does make travel easy mode, in all fairness.
But here's the thing: is the phone's in your hand for that purpose, and then it stays there, and you have to kind of like make her. You can find lots of inspiring, real, and raw content on your favorite social media platform, where I'm really busting that algorithm of this fake stuff and giving you a space where you can learn all kinds of amazing things about the power of your mindset and find amazing community that I've created on there. You can find me at the Trinity Baker or thetrinitybaker.com. Joined with our co-host.
Hi, everyone. My name is Danielle, the owner of Aerial Jade. You can find me on every major platform. You can also live chat with me on aerialjade.com. I host nutrition information. I lead with motherhood and athleticism. And I'm a bit of a Disney princess during the summer months as I do the Disney movie nights. So if you're into that kind of stuff, follow me. And we are here with our guest today.
And I'm Gary Arndt. I'm the host of Everything Everywhere Daily. And if you want to learn something brand new every day, just listen to the show on Apple or Spotify or wherever you listen to podcasts.
Thank you, Gary, for joining us today. And thank you for our listeners for tuning in. Make sure you subscribe and follow and download where all your podcasts are. The Unfiltered Path podcast on YouTube. Hit the notification bell, all that good stuff. We look forward to your support. If you have any questions on anything, drop them. We're all about answering questions. And we will see you all next week on the Unfiltered Path podcast.